What's up, guys? This is Derek with Team Evolution coming to you with a deck profile on Isis Empyrean Beacon, and this is a set 2 variation with some set 2 cards. And I'm pretty excited to show this one off to you because this is one of my favorite avatars, mostly just because of flavor and what it can do. This is a very location-driven avatar, so this is one that does focus a lot on Pyramid, but because of what it does, as well as the card it has access to, there are a lot of cards that inherently activate the Pyramid, but also allow you to take advantage of the royalty theme and just the overall Egyptian theme, which I think is really, really fun. So if you're looking for a very just Egyptian themed deck that utilizes the locations and the pyramid, then this is absolutely for you. There's quite a bit of different things you can do with this deck, but I'm going to show you my version of it. And as always, I appreciate any view, any subscription. You know, I don't know how many people exactly have subscribed at this point based off the game and pay attention to the videos, but I appreciate everyone who does. Always trying to just continuously put out content and deck profiles and stuff for everybody, just because if you're new to the game or you're trying to just, you know, you find an avatar that you like, you know, I'm trying to just show some variation there. So yeah, with that being said, let's just get right into the profile. Isis Empyrean Beacon. So this one is a starter deck avatar, which is great. But there's a lot of cool things you can do with this one. So you pay 2, it's a red and blue. You pay 2, and until the end of this turn, you may play locations in the champion zone. Very unique ability because that means we can have multiple locations on the board at once. And then rush for 3, search your hand deck or graveyard for a location and play it, which is awesome. So of course, this avatar is very simple. It is turbo out pyramid, and then raid and just activate pyramid and get things on it as quickly as you can and just try and win the game off of that. And it's pretty straightforward. Okay, so let's just start off. We do have a lot of like pretty cheap champions and stuff. We kind of play a little aggro-y to like flood the board very easily alongside getting pyramid out. So starting off with the Determined Contender. Now these are Mayas, but we are playing these because we are a blue deck and we are playing Shah, of course. So we have Mayas in here that have good infusions on them, so we can kind of abuse them and you know, take advantage of those additional infusion abilities. So here, the Determined Contenders. One of them has Poseidon's Trident because, again, I do think that location decks are the best type of decks out there right now, and you need to have location removal to some extent. Everybody needs to just play this card, not necessarily Determined Contender, but everybody needs to have a copy of Poseidon's Trident, period. And then the other one is the Heka of Osiris, so it just makes all of our Egyptians cost 1 less. So pretty straightforward. Then we have 2 of the Industrious Farmer, and we have Favorite of Isis on this to activate a location. So this is just more location activation, but it's on a Maya, so if we ever need to, we can get it back with Shah. If there's that one additional, you know, thing that we need to just activate the location to win the game, we can get that with Shah. If you also want to, because I don't have it in here, and I'm just kind of realizing that, but the Bronze Sword from set 2, the ultra rare infusion from set 2 that gives all your warriors +2 attack or +1 raid, we do have a decent amount of warriors in the deck. So if you want to maybe like replace one of these activated locations for that infusion, just because we have other cards in the deck that will activate the location, then fine. But I think like from a pretty moderate perspective of just trying to win the game, like this is fine. But that Bronze Sword could be good for just getting additional infusion, or additional IKORR, sorry. Everything in this game starts with an I. Additional IKORR on the pyramid. 2 cows. I haven't shown anything with cow in a while. Good old cow is a menace. So 2 cows because they're a good cheap way to get a lot of IKORR. One of them we have the headdress, which protects it if you have a Maya, which we do again have some Mayas. And then the other one is Hermes' Lyre, which on summon champions you control get +1 raid until the end of the turn. So pretty good. You just want to make sure that you're, again, getting a lot of cheap champions out to just get a lot of IKORR as fast as you can. So we are playing cow in this deck. Next we have the Sheridan Mercenary, both with Contemplate and Permanence. Now this is another one that we could argue playing that Bronze Sword on, just because it's also a warrior itself, so you could play this and get, what's it called? Like additional IKORR. But the reason I would put it on, again, this is because we can get it back with Shah, so you can reuse it over and over again. So it's a give and take kind of thing. But for now, we just have Contemplate and Permanence on this, just because it's an easy 1-for-1, right? It's a 1-drop that we can raid, and when it dies, it replaces itself. So I feel like it's a pretty good infusion for that card. Then we're playing Servant of the Sun with Sumptuous Cacao. A 2/3/4 that raids for 2 is very, very good. So that's why we're still playing this in this deck, because it's a cheap champion that has a lot of stats and gives us a lot of IKORR early in the game, and it's a really hard card to deal with early in the game. We have one copy of Set Warrior with Ruler's Decree, which is other champions you control with the same loyalty as this champion have +1 raid. It's a 2/3/2. Its ability doesn't really matter because it changes loyalties, but that doesn't matter in this case. We're just using this with the Ruler's Decree infusion as an Egyptian to just give all of our other Egyptians +1 raid. Then we're playing 2 Tall Warrior with Experience. So this says raid if you have casted a spell or summoned another warrior this turn, store an IKORR on this champion. So with Experience, this could be raiding for 3. Even if your opponent kills this, as long as you have Pyramid, you're getting a lot of IKORR under the Pyramid, which is what we're trying to do. Always threatening that kind of, victory / getting a bunch of stuff on Pyramid type of thing, which is really important. And then obviously we have one copy of Shah with Shroud of Yomi. This is to just make sure that, again, we can kind of abuse some of the Mayas in the deck with good infusions over and over and over, just to, get certain abilities off. So Shah is very good. Then we have 2 Raw Warriors. So this one we have Blessing of Izanagi on it, which means he costs 1 less if you control 1 or fewer champions. And he is another warrior. He's a 3/4 that raids for 1, but he says during your turn he has +2 attacks. So there's a lot of things you could stick to this. You could stick Sumptuous Cacao onto this if you want to. I like it a little bit more on Servant of the Sun because he's cheaper. But even with Blessing of Izanagi, this makes it a 2-drop. Right, so now we have another 2-drop that's a 2/3/4 that raids for 1. So it's just another cheap body that's very hard to deal with early in the game. And then on your turn, he has 5 attack, which is great. So a 2/5/4 that raids for 1 is huge. So I really like this card. Also, even better if you have what's it called? The one that makes our Egyptians cost 1 less, which is also nice too. And then we have 2 Swift Messengers. One of them I have Tressus of Nephthys, which on death adds any card from your graveyard to your hand, so it's really good for recycling spells or just any other champion. And then the other one we have Kusanagi, which is again a strike champion and stun it, and then draw a card, so it just draws more cards. So this deck, I will say, lacks draw power. That is this deck's weakness, is there aren't a lot of cards that inherently draw cards. So this is kind of your way to do that. So this drawing 3 cards, this technically drawing 3 cards, because when it dies you get 1 back. Really important. Shah utilizing these over and over and over to just draw cards in the mid to late game is really, really important, on top of the infusion effects that you get. So I think in this case, these are 2 really good infusions that go on cards that we can use with Shah over and over to just keep a little bit of a draw engine going. Okay, that is it for all of the infusion-based champions, okay? Next, the Fabled. So we have 2 Khufus. And by the way, in case someone did notice or didn't, I'm not playing the Accompanied Architect because we have this, first of all, and then we also have our Rush ability that helps us get Pyramid at any point in time. So Architect to just search cards that we're already going to get anyways just felt a little redundant. So I focused more on the Warriors and other cards instead of playing more copies of that because we just don't really need to. But what Khufu does is he's a Fabled champion, he's a royalty. He says summon, activate a Great Pyramid location you control, which is great. And then if you do not control a Great Pyramid, you search for it instead, which is awesome. And he's a 1/4, so he's got a decent stat line as an Egyptian. Fantastic card. My new favorite card for this deck, and I was lucky enough to find two fractures of these that actually came out of 2 boxes back to back, which was weird and very, I don't know. Seemed like that was a very rare thing, but kind of nice. So what this does is she's a Fabled champion who's also a royalty. She's a 3/3/4 that raids for 1, and this says summon, search your deck for a royalty and add it to your hand. If that champion is named Ramses, you may discard a card and search your deck for a location and add it to your hand. So that's another reason we don't play Architect, is because if we absolutely needed to, we can search for Ramses and still get a location. But the biggest thing here is the royalties. So these are royalties, which is pretty cool. The next card is a royalty, which is Amatep, right? This is a 4/3/5 that on summon, activate the effect of an allied location and then draw a card, which is phenomenal. A little mid-rangey for 4, but he also raids for 2, so he's got a good stat, he's got good rating, he draws you a card, activates Pyramid, and he's a royalty, which is awesome. Hapsesut, another royalty. Each location you control can activate an additional time. But again, she's searchable off of Nefertari. Ramses the Great. This is the main Ramses. I thought about playing the other one that deals 2 damage every single time that you activate a location, but I chose not to play that card. You absolutely can if you want to, so there's no problem. There's no issues with that. But this one's cool because it's a human royalty and a warrior, which is nice. And this is a new ultra rare from set 2. He's a 5/6/4 that raids for 2, and he says this champion cannot be attacked as long as you control another warrior. And then on attack, warriors you control get +1 raid until the end of the turn. And on raid, warriors you control get +2 attack until the end of the turn. So very nice, flexible card. Kind of does things like Ewok does for Maya's, just kind of a little differently. But it's great. And again, obviously it's searchable off of, what's it called? So if you play Nefertari, you search for this, and then you pitch a card, and you also get a location. I'm playing a copy of Cleopatra, but if I'm being honest, this is more just for light flavor. I think playing 2 copies of Ramses is okay, because I know this is a fabled, but when this guy's on the board, your opponent is going to have to get rid of him. So having another copy I think is really good, because he's a really high impact. This card, like, she's fine, right? She's another royalty. She's a 2/7 that raids for 2. Stun all opposing champions with an influence cost of 3 or less. So the only reason I'm playing her is because she's kind of like out of the blue, right? I don't think most players would expect a Cleopatra to come down and stun their board, or at least some of their board. And so sometimes it could just kind of be one of those like weird impactful tech cards that you can play. So, you know, you could play one of each. You could also play 2 Ramses if you want to. There's some other, actually, here, give me, oh, you know what, I don't have all my stuff in here, never mind. There's a few other cards you can play. Like there's that SETI 1 or SETI 2. It's the 5-drop 6/4 or 6/5 from set 2 that says on attack, if you control a location or Ramses, the next warrior target a warrior you control, and it doesn't take any damage until the end of the next turn, which is really good. Like that card's actually really good, but it costs 6. So I thought about playing that over the Cleopatra because it's a little bit more on the like aggressive side of things. So you can kind of do what you want, because there's so many royalties, and I think that guy's a royalty as well. I'm pretty sure, or he's just a human warrior. I can't remember. He might not be. No, he's not a royalty, but either way, it's another good card that you could consider playing to combo with everything. But Cleopatra's fine too. I mean, you can kind of interchange these, you know, however you'd like. But, you know, these, you know, I play 2 of these, but if you want to play just one, you could play one. But these are all royalties, which is really nice. So you can kind of do whatever you'd like. But I do think this card is really, really good in this deck, almost to the point where I would just consider playing 2 of them, which I think I might just end up doing. But Cleopatra is fun to play as well. You can do whatever you want, but yeah, options. That's it for the champions. And then, of course, the locations. We have 2 pyramids and 1 great sphinx. So Sphinx just says that activate the effect of an ally location. So ideally, at some point in the game, you want to use Isis's ability to get both, like this in your champion zone and this in your zone. That way, you can basically always activate this twice. So you activate it and then use this to activate it, right? And then obviously if you have like Hepsisit on the board, then you can activate both of these twice and maybe take advantage of getting 4 IKORR or something like that, right? There are other locations you can play, but there's just no really need to, because we're focusing too much on these. You could also trim this down to just 1 and 1. That way you don't like dead draw the pyramid. But the thing is like, because location removal is so important, I think at least having 2 copies is worth playing. Even though we have Tressus of Nephthys in the deck to get this back, I just think 2 copies is better safe than sorry. Yeah, you could also play Imitep. I didn't have Imitep. That's the 3/06 that prevents your locations from being targeted or destroyed by effects. You could also play that too if you want to, because it's got 6 health and raids for 2. I didn't squeeze that in there, but again, if you want to like have something that protects the locations, you absolutely can. So I don't think that's a terrible choice either. And then the spells, we play 2 Cultivating Theorist, which is our little bit of consistency. 1 Tsunami. I'm a huge advocate of playing 1 copy of this in every blue deck. Tsukuyomi's Twilight, same thing. If you have it, play it. If you don't, then you can basically play any other blue spell. 2 Overindulgence. Two Howling Descent. This card I'm testing. I like it. It's not bad. Retreat 2 target champions. I think why this card's also pretty good in this deck is because with a lot of these champions, if you're raiding, you could like target one and target your opponents, and that way you can put the IKORR on your pyramid because it's when they bounce. So I think this card's actually really good. And then 2 Poseidon's Wrath, just because it's, you know, kind of the other best removal. I do not have Heat Lightning in this deck. Heat Lightning was the other spell that I was considering, but space got tight, and I think that I think Wrath is just better. I think these are all just better because there are some instances where Heat Lightning, like dealing 2 damage to something, just isn't enough. So that's why I just didn't play it. And I think that most of the time your opponent's going to be dealing with your board anyways. So yeah, that's the list. It's pretty straightforward, but it plays really well. And again, there are just some things like if you don't want to play Cleopatra, play the SETI or play another copy of Ramses. Or you can take one of these out if you only want one of those. There are a few other warriors and stuff that you could play, but I would keep it minimal with the Egyptian theme, other than the few Mayas that we have here. And that's it. So yeah, give this deck a try. It's really fun. It's really flavorful. It's one of my favorite decks personally, and I think it can be fairly competitive. So that's about it. Again, appreciate it. Keep watch for some other profiles and some other videos, and Team Evolution out.